Purple Heart Homes presents Putting the Pieces Back Together, a forum for veterans and the community to connect. Here are your hosts, veterans John Galena and Brad Borders.
Welcome to the show today here where we're putting the pieces back together, presented by Purple Heart Homes, a 501c3 public charity that provides housing solutions for service-connected disabled veterans. We have in studio with us today a very special co-host filling in for Chap.
Good morning.
I think she's affectionately known as Torch. If being burned can be considered affectionate, don't get too close. Right?
Oh, that's
is that what all those that project managers say?
Behind my back, I'm sure.
Oh, is that the way that works? Okay. Only Devin's brave enough to get close and say it face to face.
No comment.
That's a good idea, Devin. No comment.
That is a good idea, Devin, because I'm in between you and Torch here today, and I don't want to get hurt. So we got a couple special guests with us here in studio today. We got Kenny Hardin from Veteran Social Center in Salisbury, along with Cindy, who is here, and they're going to talk about their experiences and share the work that they're doing there in Salisbury and how they got started. And we're just thrilled to be here with you today. Brad's out on special assignment, taking care of Miss Giggles, and so we hope that she continues to heal up and get better, and certainly our prayers go out to her. But, just really want to let everybody know just what a great year it's been so far. It's been great to be able to share all these phenomenal projects, and we've had a lot of really special guests. But I want to encourage people to get involved. There's so much need out there. I was talking with Matt Stevenson, one of our construction directors at the office the other day, and he told us we had 100 applications for service come in, requests for service in the month of January, and so there's just a significant need. And one that came in over the weekend just really touched my heart. I want to share it with you all. And so it's a Vietnam veteran said, hey, look, I'm fighting with Agent Orange, and not sure how much longer I'm going to be here. I really just want to be able to provide a home for my wife. And it just really touched me to think that, even in his last days, as he's struggling, he's thinking about his family and his future. And that's really what it's all about, right? It's about taking care of our family. And so it's amazing what a home can do and what a home means to people. And so get involved, whether it's with Purple Heart Homes or with another housing charity. Make a difference, support veterans, because they have a significant need. So we'll go ahead and move over here to our guest. We'll start here with you, Kenny, and tell us a bit about yourself. I hear Isaiah is in really good company as he's an Air Force veteran, and you served in the Air Force as well.
Exactly. I always laugh and tell people if you weren't in the Air Force, the Army, Navy, Coast Guard, Marines, y'all need heroes. So the Air Force is more than happy to step up and be what y'all didn't have. But now I say that jokingly, and I love the fact that we can just laugh and cut up at the Veteran Social Center. But my background, I did serve 4 years active, 2 years active reserve at Offutt Air Force Base, Strategic Air Command Headquarters in Nebraska. Coming from North Carolina, going to Nebraska, I did not have a coat big enough for that winter out there. But I really enjoyed my time in the military, and I tell young people, if you're graduating high school and you're not sure what you want to do, the military is a great way to get a head start. It gave me a great head start. I got out of the military, went back and got my 4-year degree from Pfeiffer University. Served on city council in Salisbury for a couple of years. I write a weekly editorial for the paper. I upset a lot of people every week in the newspaper. I worked 22 years in healthcare. I was a hospital director. I dealt with patient advocacy while I was in, and I extended that, and that's what kind of helped me move into wanting to do the Veterans Social Center. So that's kind of my quick background.
That's fantastic. And where's the Veterans Social Center at?
It's located in the old Salisbury Mall. They don't want you to call it that anymore. It's the West End Plaza now. We're located about 2 miles west of the VA hospital. It's going through some renovations right now. It's not a lot in the mall, so you have to kind of know what you're coming in there for. We typically, and I have to always thank Bath and Body Works, because everybody goes to Bath and Body Works, and we're just situated right next door, so we get a lot of their traffic, especially the husbands. Whose wives are in there spending a lot of money. They just come and hang out with us while we're in there. But we're great located, 2,700 square feet. What I tell people, it's kind of a USO/military museum. So a lot of fun, but you can get some history while you're in there. That's also
fantastic. And do you have a website?
Yes, veteranssocialcenter.org. But if you're on Facebook, just go to Veterans Social Center. One of the things I'm most proud of with our Facebook page is a lot of information on there. We are averaging close to 3,000 views a week. We have people from 8 countries that are following our Facebook page, but veteransocialcenter.org and Veterans Social Center on Facebook.
That is fantastic. And so let's step back just you personally for a few moments and share with us what led you to join the military.
Well, it's kind of a funny story. I actually, when I graduated high school, I worked in radio for about a hot minute. I worked at WSAT in Salisbury, but I was kind of adverse to going to class. I took all 8 o'clock classes, did not want to get up and go to class, but I loved being on the radio. I got my first year GPA. It was 1.9 GPA. My dad said, you're going to stay with your uncle for about 4 years. And so I actually had to do some growing up. And that's really what pushed me to join in the military. And it was the best decision because it gave me that latitude and that freedom to kind of grow up in a controlled environment. But I still had a lot of fun, and I was much more disciplined once I got out of the military.
It has a way of doing that for most of us. I don't know what happened to Devin in the Marines, but for most of the rest of us, it creates a little organizational discipline. Right? That's really fantastic. Who were some of the leaders you looked up to in the military, and what kind of impact did they have on you?
Well, a leader that I didn't know, but I had the utmost and still have the utmost respect for is the late General Colin Powell. I really admired his leadership style, his leadership ability. I've read a few of his books. One of the things that I really admired about Colin Powell was that he had a participative type leadership style. He took everybody's voice in to the decision making. But one thing General Powell used to say is, I'll listen to everybody, but once it's time for the decision to be made, the decision is made. But another person that I could actually put hands on, his name was his name is Hosel Odom. I met him when I was an airman, probably a year into my military career. I didn't know anything. And he was, I think, a staff sergeant at the time. He ended up doing about 27 years in the Air Force. But he took me under his wing. He showed me how to grow up, how to be a man, how to understand the complexities and challenges of military life. He and I are still friends to this day. He is actually on my board of directors for this nonprofit. So if you go on our website and you look under the board of directors, you can see Senior Master Sergeant Hosel Odom. He lives in Georgia now, and we talk several times a week, but I credit him with a lot of the growth that I experienced.
Now, I just got one question.
Mm-hmm.
What I heard was that Air Force looks up to Army. Did I hear that right? You said that as an airman, you looked up to the Army general? Did I hear that right?
I think there's a glitch in the... Well, I have to admit that. Colin Powell is just somebody that I can't get around. I did look up to him.
Well,
but we trained. We actually trained with Marines. And I tell you, I don't have what it takes to be a Marine. I've trained with some of the best guys, but that type of training that they had to undergo, I'm not built for that.
You know, it's funny. I know lots of Army that went to Marines and lots of Marines that go to Army. I don't know any Army or Marines that go to Air Force. I don't know if we're not smart enough, if we're
that's
not
it.
polished
You answered the question.
You
answered the question.
That's it. I have to say that. Being an Air Force mom, I have to say.
There you go, Carrie.
Work smarter, not harder.
Exactly.
So, Cindy, why don't you tell us about yourself?
Good morning. My name is Cindy Stevenson, and I was born and raised in Salisbury, North Carolina. I'm the mother of 3 sons who all have wonderful wives. Well, let me start back over. I'm the wife of Magellan Stevenson, who was in the Marine Corps. My dad, William Leach, was in the Army, and my youngest son, Magellan Stevenson III, was in the Navy. So I do volunteer work at the Veteran Social Center because I feel like I got military all up and through me. I started working with Kenny about 9 months ago at the Veteran Social Center. I retired from my job in 2013, and I needed something to do. So when I've known Kenny all his life, and when he approached me with this situation, I was like, what I got to do?
Yeah, what am I signing
do
up for?
Do I have to get up early in the morning like this morning? Because I'm not an early morning person. But he said, no. So he told me, what his idea was. He told me he had a dream. I said, you're not Martin Luther King Jr. So,
she reminds me of that all the time.
But then when he told me what he was doing, I jumped right on board. And I've been volunteering from day one. And it's a rewarding experience for me. And I forgot to mention my grandchildren because I always talk about my grandsons. I have 7 grandsons.
Wow.
And I love sports. I love just doing sports. I'm a boy mama, boy grandmama. I'm at every game, every pep rally, whatever they're doing, I'm there.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
With seven grandsons, that's like a Marine Corps squad.
That's kind of what we're working on, I think.
She's the boss. She's being very humble, but I work for her. She is
No,
I'm
not. No, I'm not.
That's fantastic.
So that's who I am.
And how about yourself? Who were some leaders that you looked up to?
My daddy.
Yeah?
Yeah. I just can't. I'm the person that I am today because of my daddy. And
okay.
All right. He passed away in 2013, and there's not a day that doesn't go by that I don't see something or hear something or do something that reminds me of my daddy, and it just puts a smile on my face. So, yeah, my dad.
Kenny, I'm curious. My son, like I said, is in the Air Force, but he doesn't tell me a lot of stories,
Right.
obviously. So what are some funny stories you can share on the radio from your time in service?
Well, let's see. I have to PG censor some of these stories. And really, it's just the camaraderie. I had so much fun. I still keep in touch with about 4 guys that I served with almost 40 years ago. And it's just the relationships that you develop. You get to meet people from all walks of life. I mean, I still remember names from basic training of guys that I served with that I haven't talked with since 1984. But just hanging out in the barracks when people used to actually shine their boots. We don't do that, I think, much anymore. But just sitting around, that's what I told Cindy when we started talking about the Veteran Social Center. I said, I want this to be the feel of like sitting around in the barracks and just having fun, trash talking, shooting pool. And that's what the atmosphere. If you come into our center on a good day, there's a lot of trash talking going on, especially around the pool tables. But nobody takes it seriously, Carrie. Everybody just has a great time, and it's just kind of reminiscent of the times that I remember 30, 40 years ago.
Wow, that's really great and so true. And, I think there's a lot to be said for what's lost in not having to spit shine those boots and,
Right.
and just taking that time to do that work together and learn to manage your time. There was a lot of valuable lessons in that. And, I don't even think they have to shine their shoes for their Class A uniform anymore either. I think those are patent leathers and just they got that permanent shine on them. But yeah, those were certainly good times. And Carrie, don't worry, when he gets home, you'll hear plenty of stories about how he had his wisdom teeth pulled out here recently.
Yeah, oh, wow.
Yeah, somehow I don't think he's going to share a lot of stories with Mom.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we'll see if we can't get him talking. You're listening to Putting the Pieces Back Together, presented by Purple Heart Homes, and here in a few moments we'll be back to hear from Devil Dog Devin and the Project of the Week. All right, so we are still alive here on Facebook with our special guest from the Veterans Social Center in Salisbury, North Carolina. Kenny, there was a comment you had made a few moments ago about your time in radio there in Salisbury at WSAT. Do you recall a veteran that served in Burma? That was there. He worked at the radio station in Salisbury for a number of years, and I can't recall his name, but he was pretty instrumental in the coffee shop. I believe it was Thelma's that was there in Salisbury for a while.
The only two names, and I don't know why I remember this name, but he had the greatest radio voice. His name was Mike O'Shaughnessy Shannon. And
that's a great name.
He did.
His voice.
I remember
and
him.
I used to have this pretend radio voice. Well, I would say my name is Kenny, and I was just trying to imitate him, but he had just the coolest voice. He and Howard Flatt, who's recently deceased. Howard was the voice of just sports in Salisbury. But those are about the only two names I can remember. I was a campus also at Catawba College. I was the DJ at the campus radio. And as I said, I mean, on my card, I had 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 8 o'clock. I never went to class. I was just always on the radio.
That's cool. That's cool. Tell us a little bit about your time there at the radio in Salisbury. What were some neat, interesting things that you got to experience there?
Being 18 years old, they gave me a lot of responsibility and they entrusted me. But one of the things that I remember, Casey Kasem's Top 40, and it came in the big records, and you had to play. It was 4 records that came in the pack, and you'd have to play one and then flip it and play. We did, as long as you did Casey Kasem's Top 40, Carolina basketball, and ABC World News. After that, you could play and say and do whatever you wanted to do. And I thought, wow, as an 18-year-old, they're allowing me to do this. And but I just had a ball.
That's really
just
cool.
A lot of fun.
That's really cool. And Cindy, did you listen to the radio when Kenny was running the station there?
Probably not when Kenny was on.
Yeah.
You see, you feel the love across the room. Do y'all feel it? This is every day at the center.
I feel your pain, Kenny. I understand exactly what it's like.
Yeah.
Oh, my.
Yeah. That's great. That's great. Oh. We will we'll be going live back here just in a moment, and really like to hear some of the challenges, Cindy, that you've experienced or witnessed with your family and their reintegration. All right, we are back live here for Putting the Pieces Back Together, presented by Purple Heart Homes. And we're going to hear from Devil Dog Devin himself about this week's Project of the Week and the work that the Purple Heart Homes project team have been doing. Devil Dog, what do you got new for us?
Well, hello.
Let me turn my volume down. Oh, my goodness.
Do you know they make me intentionally wear the headphones to tone me down? Yeah. I don't know if all y'all out there in radio land can tell that. Oh, my gosh. It just got louder. So we've got a very special project of the week this week. Are you familiar with what we're doing in Arizona, John?
I sure hope so. I've been out there a few times.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I think I
and
might
I'm
have
going
seen...
back this week.
Yeah. How about that? That's pretty exciting. My understanding is Fox Sports reached out to us in preparation for that big game they got going on, and they want to do something special for a veteran. They're really a great partner for us, and we found Stephen Huth, and this fella, he's had problems with his feet when he was in the Air Force veteran there, Kenny, and now he's got Parkinson's, and he's just not doing really great. And his home is not made for a disabled veteran. And
I understand he fell 57 times last year where the fire department had to come in and pick him up.
I thought it was 67.
Either way.
somewhere between
Within it was 6 months too. It was insane. Luckily, he wasn't injured in any of those major leagues. Fall straight down. But that's terrible. So Purple Heart Homes came in there, and we remodeled a bathroom for him, got that ADA compliant, cleaned out the ductwork, refloored his house, and brought in Fox, and they did some painting the exterior of his home, dressed up the outside, and just not only revitalized the interior of his house, but made that exterior shine as well, so he can come home and have a home to be proud of. And just want to say a special thanks to Fox out there, and Lamar Alston, who's the project manager. He did a phenomenal job with that. And along with that, let's talk about a veteran that still needs a little bit of help. That's Army veteran Fisher out there in Mississippi. Now, when I called this veteran, the first thing he says to me, "You don't need to talk to my wife." And I think he's a smart man. So I've been in contact with his wife, and we're gonna see about getting him some brand new windows in his home. But every veteran can't have a big grant partner like Fox. We need support from all of our listeners out there. So if you want to help a veteran like Mr. Fisher out there in Mississippi, you can go to phhusa.org and hit that donate button and help him get some new windows.
That's fantastic, Devin, and so we so appreciate all the work that you and all the project management team are doing out there. Just phenomenal work, and certainly heart-wrenching, and in some ways very emotionally tiresome. You see so many of these veterans, and really you begin to feel the need for that, and we just appreciate the compassion that you all extend to them. One thing I'll say about Mr. Huth out in Phoenix and working on his project, we put on a ramp so that one of his requests was that he be able to get into his backyard. He liked to go out and sit on his back porch and just enjoy the afternoon and the shade, and in the process he had a doggy door because he really can't get up and down just letting his dogs in and out. So he had a little doggy door, and it was in the actual existing rear porch door, the rear patio door. So we had to put a wider rear patio door so that his walker could get in and out, because he's a very, very large man, and so his walker's right at 36 inches wide, and that particular back door was only like 28 or 30 inches wide, so we had to put a wider door in, and then there wasn't no doggy door, and so we had to figure out how to put a doggy door in. So a bunch of volunteers came together, they cut a hole in the wall, they put a doggy door in, then they realized that it was about a 10-inch step down for the dogs to get out the doggy door onto the patio, and so we built the first ever doggy door ramp. And so now we have a doggy door ramp that Purple Heart Homes is building.
Gosh.
So if you have a dog that's in need, then you know who to call.
Outstanding. I love that.
Yeah. Again, thanks so much there, Devil Dog. We appreciate you, and certainly appreciate all our Marines out there to get involved too. And so I want to turn back to our guest, Kenny and Cindy, and want to learn more about some of the challenges for transition, both Kenny as a veteran yourself and Cindy in what you as a wife and a mom witnessed in the transition, coming off of active duty and coming out of the military, and what that's like, and just help our listeners understand what your experiences were. Kenny, we'll start with you.
Well, and I'll tie it in currently as well, John. The main reason the Veteran Social Center exists is because not only did I have difficulties and challenges moving from a military life to a civilian life, I understood that there were a host of other people like me. So I wanted there to be a facility where people could come and kind of escape the challenges of everyday life. And when they come into the Veteran Social Center for those 5 or 6 hours that we're open, they can relax and exhale and feel like that they are around people that understand them. That's the biggest challenge I think that I've faced. I still have military in me. I got out in 1990. I still make my bed with hospital covers. If you look in my closet, my shoes are all lined a certain way. My pants are going this way. I still do the military thing. Now, my wife hates it because she has nothing to do with the military, and she is just kind of like Oscar and Felix. You know, we're the odd couple. But I wanted to have a place where people that think like me and have the same kind of mindset that I do, we could just go and relax. Cindy and I were talking on the ride up here, and even though I laugh and people say, well, you're so sociable, you're so talkative, I'm really not. And I tend to shy away from a lot of things and a lot of people. And I don't know if that was just what the military is kind of, they kind of instill that individuality in you. So that was one of probably the biggest thing is the social aspect of coming back, into society.
That's fantastic. Cindy, how about yourself as a wife and a mom? What were some of the things that you witnessed in that transition period?
I guess for me, because when my husband was in the military, we didn't actually live at Camp Lejeune with him. We lived in Salisbury, and he would come home on the weekends. So I never experienced that military living life. But I do remember when my son went into the Navy, the one thing that brought tears to my eyes when he got out of the Navy, he was at Great Lakes in Chicago, and he went in October for basic training. He got out in December, and we went to Chicago in December for his graduation. And that was one of the coldest experiences of my life. I couldn't wait to get my baby out of Chicago in December. But the one thing that impressed me more than anything by him going into the military was when he got home after basic training, before he went to San Antonio, every morning he got up and he made up his bed. Because before he went in the military, he would not do it. So if he didn't learn anything else by being in the military, is he learned how to make up his bed. And that was the most, even though I'm proud of him, but that impressed me more than anything else. But I guess for me, being in this volunteer situation, it just gives me an opportunity to hang out with some of the most impressive men I've ever met, and women that I've ever met in my life. When I go up to the Veteran Center, like Kenny says, he doesn't do a lot of talking. People will come in, new people will come in. He may take them on a tour, and then he'll go in his office, and then that's when I step in. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I guess he figures, well, you like to talk, you like to listen, you like to do this, you like to do that. Well, you go ahead and you do this right here, do this, that. But I have met some of the most amazing people since I've been volunteering at the Veteran Center, and I just laugh. I laugh, and I keep on laughing at some of the stories and just some of the activities that we are doing at the center. I'm learning how to shoot pool. I can beat them in ping pong, but I can't. I haven't gotten pool mastered yet, but I'm working on it.
Ping pong champion, huh?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and I've beaten a couple of people in checkers, and I want to learn chess because I don't know how to play chess. But we have one of our veterans is a chess master. So I'm hoping Mr. George would teach me how to play chess.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So I'm learning a lot, and it's just been a wonderful experience for me, and I enjoy.
Cindy, what does a typical day as a volunteer at the social center look like?
I go in. First of all, we keep the place spotless. We clean all the time.
Immaculate.
Yeah, it's very immaculate. We clean all the time. We have liquid beverages in the refrigerator. We keep the refrigerator stocked with stuff for them to drink. We keep snacks on the back counter for them to just come and get chips, cookies, whatever they want. Just making sure the pool tables are clean, the ping pong tables, all the equipment in there. And then once the veterans start coming in, just hanging out with them. And I can't wait till the first one comes in. They have to sign in every day. And we even got a few now that they'll just come right on in. I'm like, did you do? I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. But it's not, you got to, it's just keeping a record of who comes in every day and this kind of thing. And just to know their names, because I know everybody's name. I like to call you by your name instead of, hey, you, and this kind of thing. But we got so many of the veterans there who are very talented in so many different ways. We got one that loves to bake, so he's always bringing us cakes and cookies and just all kinds of things. And we got another one that loves to do handiwork. So if we need something, a drawer fixed or a light bulb or something, we got another one that does that. But they are very, very, very talented men and women, and I just have a good time just hanging out with them on a daily basis.
That's really fantastic. Carrie, I'm just curious, just hearing Cindy talk about her son making his bed. How about your son, Quentin? What are some changes that you've observed since he's joined? We oftentimes talk about the transition out,
right.
But we forget to kind of think about the impact going in.
Yeah.
I think it's really interesting.
The biggest thing is I don't understand anything he says anymore because everything is an acronym
So wait a
or a number.
minute. You don't understand anything that we say at work, and now you don't understand anything he says at home.
I'm lost everywhere I go. Everybody has an acronym.
Right?
Yeah. He was very disciplined before he went in, but he definitely is more disciplined now. He does everything by the book and follows all the rules, and I love that.
Yeah, I was going to say, it sounds like somebody else I know. Well, yeah. Here, wait a minute. It doesn't say that. That's not the right order, John. You skipped a step, John. Yeah.
If there's a rule, follow it. That's just the way it should be.
Yeah. That's fantastic. So let's talk more about the Veteran Social Center and kind of how it came to be and what's the mission, right, of all nonprofits. We kind of have this mission statement. What's the Veteran Social Center mission statement?
Well, the mission, in essence, is we just want to advocate, one, for those who can't advocate for themselves or that don't understand how to advocate for themselves, but we also just want to make sure that anybody who served honorably, who wore the uniform and served honorably — I've had about 2 people that I've had to expose that were stolen service and stolen valor that came in, and I make no apologies for the way I handled that, and I will expose you if I find out that you did not serve honorably and you're coming in there taking advantage of my services. But it's just to make sure that our veterans understand the resources that are available, understand that there are options that they have, that they're being respected and valued. The way that this all came about, and it sounds almost like a movie, but I went to bed December 28th of year before, and I woke up December 29th and said, I really want a place for veterans to be able to go to hang out. I mean, I literally woke up with that on my mind. I called an awesome county commissioner, Craig Pierce. He's one of our county commissioners. And I can reach out to Craig. Craig is so caring. And I said, Craig, I really want a place for veterans to go to just hang out. A lot of veterans don't want to go to traditional therapy. I suffer from PTSD. I make no excuses about it, but I don't like going to traditional therapy because of the whole talking thing. But I said, if this could be a place where veterans can just come and interact and engage and conversate with each other, this is therapy. So he and I sat down one day, and I had everything that you see when you go on and you look at the pictures. It was in my head. And the way it looks now is just the way I wanted it to look when I put it together. So I pitched it to the Rowan County Commission. They told me you have 15 minutes to pitch this idea. An hour and 15 minutes later, I'm still talking. And they voted unanimously to give me that facility for $1 a year, is what they gave it to me for. And
what a blessing.
People have been so generous in assisting us. We've had businesses, we've had individuals, we've had so many people to step up, donate their services, and that's why it looks the way. I would be remiss if I didn't mention Richard's Coffee Shop. They have been absolutely wonderful to us. Pizza Hut has been wonderful to us. Just different businesses that we reach out, because one thing we do is the first Saturday of every month, we feed everybody a home cooked meal that comes in there. All you have to do is come in. We help veterans find apartments. We help them get furniture. We help them get clothing. Anything that they need, we advocate for them.
Wow, it just amazes me the how the community can come together and how it can have an impact to change lives.
Right.
Not just in that day or that one-time moment in action, but they can change the lives of veterans into the future for many years and generations to come. Well, it's time for us to take another break here. You're listening to Putting the Pieces Back Together, presented by Purple Heart Homes, with our special guests from the Veteran Social Center, Kenny and Cindy, and we are just thrilled to be with you today. We look forward to hearing more about their service and about their experiences with the Veteran Social Center in just a few moments. We'll be right back. Okay, so we are still live with you here on Facebook, and I'm going to try not run too many listeners off. Kenny, one of the things you said here that I think is just so profound, and something that I've heard time and time again from veterans with post-traumatic stress, and I suffer from post-traumatic stress. And my own definition of that is that it is the perfect and natural reaction having an unnormal experience, right? So if you, and the way I've said it in times past, if you've been where I've been and done what I've done, you'd have responded the same way that I responded. And I think in so many ways it has a lot to do with kind of how you're raised too, right? And how the times that you're raised in, and so many different factors that play into it. But so many veterans just feel the exact same way. I don't want to go speak to a clinical psychologist about my problems and just sit there and tell them so that they can analyze me and then tell me how I should fix it.
Right.
What I really need to be around people that have had similar experiences where I don't have to talk about it, but they just accept me for who I am.
Exactly.
Right? And so I think there's so much value in that to be able to just be around other veterans, right? While their experiences may have been somewhat different, whether you're in the Air Force, Marine Corps, Army, whether you deployed to Vietnam or whether you deployed to Germany and did Reforger, or whether you deployed to Iraq or Desert Storm or wherever that might have been, whether you're infantry or whether you were loading bombs onto planes. You have that common ground of being in the military, and there's no need for that conversation over the specific incidents that a clinician may have said, this is what gave you PTSD, right? It's just that you have that feeling of acceptance as and being a part of something, and I think that's lost when we get out of the military, right? We come home and you don't have that connection.
And everybody's trying to make you feel better without understanding, to Carrie and her son, Quentin, right? Think about it, and I don't know how old Quentin is. I left home when I was 18 years old. I cried my first night of basic training because it was a culture shock. I mean, you got people in your face 24/7 yelling, screaming. I mean, you're in an environment you're not used to. Well, I get sent to a duty station where they tell you at 18 years old, get your will together, or you may not make it, or put a bag. We used to have to grab a bag. You could be going anywhere in the world.
Always have it packed.
And that's such a... All right, we're back here in studio with you, putting the pieces back together, presented by Purple Heart Homes. We have got our special guest co-host, Carrie, a.k.a. Torch, in studio with us, helping to make sure we're following all the rules and making sure that we're not getting in trouble, and that Brad's directions have been followed. I'm not sure if I'm very good at following Brad's directions, but we'll see if we can't try today.
Well, I don't know all the rules for this, but I'm sure you're not following them all.
Now, wait a second. Are you saying that I'm a rule breaker?
Well, you are my boss, so no, that's not what I'm saying.
Okay. Well, I'm glad we're understanding that I just bend the rules a little bit, right? So we've got in studio with us today Kenny Hardin from the Veteran Social Center and Cindy Stevenson, a volunteer from the Veteran Social Center in Salisbury, North Carolina, and learning about their experiences and why they started the program, the value of the program. And on our break, we were having a little bit of conversation about post-traumatic stress and just the value that have that camaraderie and that connection brings to help heal, to help feel acceptance in the veteran community. And, one of the things that I've come to understand over the years, Cindy, is not only when a community comes together to support an organization like that, but what it means for a volunteer to give their time and to be in the midst of the veterans and to just be supportive of them. And what I'd like to start with in this segment is to hear a special story of a particular veteran. Don't have to say their name if you don't want to or don't feel it's appropriate, but that's been helped through the social center and just what you've been able to witness in that impact. And so is there somebody that stands out that you've seen some change in them over time?
We have a veteran that came to the center pretty close to since we've been open. And he lived in his van. Mm-hmm. And he would come to the center practically every day. He's very handy. He does a lot of things, but he just didn't have anywhere to live. And he lived in his van. He parked it in one of the shopping malls in Salisbury at night. But this person has since gotten his own apartment. We had him a housewarming party at the center. He got all kinds of things from us. He got all kinds of things from the consignment shop, which is also in the West End Plaza. But this person has really gone from being homeless to being a homeowner now.
Thriving. Mm-hmm.
Thriving, and he is doing really wonderful. It had been a couple of months since I had seen him, but he came up one day last week, and I was just so glad to see him. And as Kenny was saying, on Saturdays, the first Saturday of every month, we actually feed anybody who comes into the center. Before last month, we were doing it every Saturday. If you come into the Veteran Center on Saturday, you get a full meal. Just no questions asked. You just come in and you just eat. We've cooked, we've begged, we've borrowed, we haven't stolen.
Yeah.
I like Cindy. She sounds like a rule bender, too.
But we did. We was feeding the veterans every Saturday. And this particular Saturday, we got kind of tickled because Kenny called himself decorating before we got there, because he said he didn't know that me and another volunteer were coming to set up for this particular, where we were feeding this past Saturday. So we walk into the area where we were feeding, and I didn't notice it, but he pointed it out that he had bought some tablecloths, and they were little princesses tablecloths.
I tried.
He said when he went down to go get some red tablecloths, these tablecloths looked red, but they were actually pink little princess tablecloths that he put on the Veterans Social Service.
Now, wait a minute. Was it an Air Force dinner that we were putting on?
Yeah.
Is that what this was?
The joke was the Marines sat at that.
But he always calls himself trying to help in situations like this. But we just need for him to get out of the way.
They tell me to sit down.
Yeah, go somewhere and sit down and let us handle it. Well, I didn't know y'all were coming. Anyway, they ate on these pink princesses tablecloths for a little girl's birthday party, but everything went well. Everything was fine.
Oh, that's fantastic. Kenny, is there anything you would add to this? I mean, the impact that the center had, or
two things come to mind, John. The majority of the people that use our facility are Vietnam veterans. And I have learned more about Vietnam than I have ever during 12 years, 16 years of school that I went through. You can sit down and actually go through a firefight. You can act like, they will take you there with them. But I had two interactions that just touched me. I had a gentleman, Vietnam era Navy guy. He came up to me and he says, "Kenny, I want to thank you for never making me feel like a nobody when I come in here." And I tell you, I got just almost choked up.
He got teary-eyed.
Yeah, I did. I'm trying to be tough, but I did. And another gentleman came up, and he said, until I started coming here, I used to wake up and drink until I went to bed. I have not had a drink since I came in here. This has saved my life. Wow. And that, to me, is indicative of what we mean to the veterans, to the community, to everyone. And that's why I do what I do. I don't make one penny. Nobody takes a dime. Every penny that we get, everything is free. Once you come in that place, you don't spend a dime when you come in there. We put everything back into the facility. And it makes it worth it. They have to actually tell me. I got sick for about a month last month. I was still trying to come up there until the boss lady said, What'd you say? Don't bring that mess in here.
Bring that mess up in here.
And but I just felt bad that I couldn't come in and be there for the veterans. So that's what it means.
So if somebody would like to volunteer and come out and support, how would they go about contacting you all?
Well, we have a good set of volunteers, but we welcome anybody that has a generous spirit, a generous heart, a compassionate heart that wants to come out. We have a lady that comes out and just feeds with us on Saturdays. Reach out to me either on our Facebook page or our veteransocialcenter.org page. Call me. My number is listed. I don't want to give it out now, but it is listed. And like I said, I trust Cindy a lot. I joke and I pick and I play, but I consider Cindy like my right hand. But we have 5 other beautiful, wonderful, absolutely wonderful women and one man that volunteers. But I will welcome anyone that is genuine in spirit to come out and work with these guys.
That's fantastic. And somebody wants to donate, I imagine they can go to veteransocialcenter.org as well, and
yes.
They can donate to support.
You can donate online, and it is a tax-deductible donation. Or if you want to mail a check, which we do get people to mail, it's Post Office Box 3101 in Salisbury, 28145, 3101.
And so you are listening to Putting the Pieces Back Together, presented by Purple Heart Homes here, where we are speaking with Kenny Hardin, Veterans Social Center in Salisbury, North Carolina. If you'd like to get involved, please visit their website at veteransocialcenter.org, and you can also make a contribution there. Are there any things specific that you're needing funding for, or that you guys are working towards, to, whether that's to grow, to expand, to help a specific veteran?
Well, what we're doing, we're always, in need of financial support because, as Cindy said, we turn around and give it out. What we're looking at now is we want to start doing some outreach. I actually have a meeting this afternoon with the shelter in Salisbury. I talked to the director. 1/3 of the entire population at the shelter is veterans. So what we're looking at is we have been transporting the homeless veterans by our private vehicles. I'm working to try to get a van to where we can make sure that these veterans can come back and forth. But we also want to start taking veterans on field trips, whether it's up to D.C., to Congress, whether it's to Arlington National Cemetery. We want to start taking veterans. So that's our biggest goal, is trying to work on securing a van.
Oh, that's fantastic, Kenny. And so if you have a van, if you know somebody with a van, if you're a car dealer, one of the 50 that are somewhere within 10 miles of the studio, please reach out to Kenny. They could use your support. So tell me, what about the veteran community? What would you say to the veteran community and how they can get involved, how they can support, and what's the times that they can come to the center?
Mm-hmm. What I would really say to the veterans is you don't have to suffer in silence. You don't have to suffer alone. You don't have to feel like that nobody cares, respects, values, or appreciates you. We are open Tuesday through Saturday from 1 till 5. 5 is the time that we typically close, but we'll stay open as long as people are in there. We have stayed open. We watched, all the NFL games, the college games. We've actually watched the premium movies. We've watched Top Gun Maverick. We've watched Elvis. We've watched all of the movies. We pop popcorn. So it's just a place. Get out of your house. Come and socialize. Most of the people don't even try to enjoy the activities that we have. We have a flight simulator. We have Madden football. We have NBA basketball. We've got a ton of things to do. A lot of people just want to come and talk. Just come hang out, laugh, and have a great time, and it'll help you get ready for the next day. Come back the next day until we can kind of get this thing to where you're back where you should be. We've had a lot of support. We've got 3 U.S. senators. Our state senator supports us. So we've got a lot of good community and political support as well.
That's fantastic. And one thing I just want to add, I really think it's well, we talk about the community rallying together and doing one specific thing. It's a continuum of care, right? It's the total process. It's not one thing is just going to completely heal, and not one thing is just going to cause complete reintegration, but it's a lot of different factors.
Right.
And at Purple Heart Homes, we focus on one piece, right? Just helping to stabilize the home, allow veterans to stay in the home, and make sure they have freedom of choice, freedom of access, and all that sort of thing. And one of the parts and what you all are providing, and I hear clearly, is that support and care and connection and the camaraderie and that part. As many of our listeners know, Brad has been leading a reboot class for combat recovery. Oh, wow. And so that class is getting ready to start up here in February, on the 21st of February. It's a 6-week course. It's a condensed course this go around. It'll be Tuesdays from 6 to 8 p.m. Okay. And so for our veterans that are suffering, come out, join the reboot class. Go connect with the Veteran Center, Veteran Social Center in Salisbury, and these are tools and resources to be able to help you be whole, be connected, and to really find that peace that we all look for after service. And you earned it, and you deserve it. And so we just challenge you to step out of your comfort zone, get engaged. If you know of a veteran in the community, encourage them, support them, bring them. I would say both for Reboot and for the Veteran Social Center, to load a veteran up in your car and bring them out and hang out with them and spend some time with them is encouraged, and you're welcome as well. Just because you're not a veteran doesn't mean you're not welcome.
Exactly.
And so as we begin to wrap up here, we've got just a few minutes before the end of the show. Is there anything else that you'd like to add? Anything you'd care to share, or experiences, encouragement?
I would just like to encourage any veteran. I don't care what branch of service you're in or anything like that. If you get an opportunity, come and see us. We have a good time at the Veteran Social Center. I'm there.
Come see Cindy.
Come see Cindy. Cindy's worth coming to see, and she'll make sure that you're fed. And
I sure will.
Play ping pong with you.
I'll play some ping pong with you, and we just have a great time at the Social Center.
That's fantastic, Kenny.
And I'd just like to say, if you're not a veteran, as you said, John, come out. We get a lot of people who are interested but are not military connected. We have a mini museum. We have had kindergarten through 5th graders come through. We've done education sessions. But even if you're not in the military but you want to understand more, come and look at some of the memorabilia that we have. We have things going back to the Spanish-American War all the way up through World War I, up to the current conflicts and wars. People have been generous in donating their uniforms and just different things. So come out even if you're not a veteran.
Well, that's fantastic. And one of the things we often say, and General Schwanek put out here on the show a few weeks back, is don't just thank a veteran for their service.
Right.
Ask them about their service.
Exactly.
Ask them to share a funny story. Ask them to tell you where they served at. Ask them, what was most meaningful about their service. Because it's those questions that drive the conversation that help you feel connected and build relationships. And ultimately, that's what it's about. It's about building and developing relationships so that that people feel accepted, so that they don't just feel like they're an outsider. When you go into the military and you're indoctrinated into that culture, and then you come back to becoming a civilian, it's really tough. I mean, you know, I laugh and joke about our Marines, but they were told to stand on yellow footsteps, you know, and so some of them, like our brother Paul, you know, he still, you know, pays homage, and every year he goes back to the Marine Corps base and stands on the yellow footprints on the same day he first started. Traditions mean a lot in our military. Kenny, Cindy, thank you so much for what you're doing. Thanks for being here with us today. You're listening to Putting the Pieces Back Together, presented by Purple Heart Homes.
You've been listening to Putting the Pieces Back Together with John Galena and Brad Borders. Join us again next Tuesday at 8 a.m. and Saturday at 5 p.m. for Putting the Pieces Back Together on News Talk WSIC.